Good morning. How we doing today? I am just getting set up. I saw a couple people were waiting. I thought I'd get on here and say what up. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. I'm just figured I'd get on ass early like I always do. For some ungodly reason. Oh, do we have some fun stuff to discuss today? I'm sure everyone has seen Trump yesterday with the Prime Minister of Japan. Oh, man. Trump does not give up. Look. And I personally find it hilarious. Absolutely incredible. Was it professional? No. Do I care? No. You know what is funny about it, though, is everybody's latching on to this one, man. You know they're going to talk about this for the next friggin' month. Because it's all they've got. No policy, nothing. Just if it's not against Trump, they've got nothing. Anyway, the reporter who asked that question was Japanese, and if you watched any of that, like toward the beginning, I mean, like the very beginning, when she got out of the car, she practically leapt into Donald Trump's arms in a hug. Like she practically jumped into his arms, one leg up. And then shortly thereafter, Italy, UK, France, and Japan all put out a joint statement saying that they would back us in the war. Right as everybody's making fun of how Trump distanced himself from our allies and now wants their help. Ha ha ha! Isn't it so funny to watch him fail? Most Democrats just love seeing Donald Trump fail. They don't give a shit about the country. They just want to see who they hate fail. Woo! So I appreciate you having patience with me while I prepare everything. I got on here early because I don't like seeing people wait, even if it is just two people. Because I care. That's just me. Oh, dollar doing a whole lot of dick. Oh, lordy, lordy. Yeah, if you've noticed this week, I haven't been very enthusiastic about these market opening streams, and that's largely because, I ain't got no money to invest in it. But that will be changing relatively soon, I hope. And once it does, I'm going to be sharing my trades with you guys. I'm full transparency, just because. And then perhaps maybe I can get some advice. Because, you can never get too much advice. And if you think you're an expert, that's your first step to failure. Especially when it comes to things like crypto. I think I've said it before. There is no such thing as a crypto expert. I don't care what you think. But yeah, man, oh man, what a hilarious course of events yesterday. I've got a couple of cousins that are both bleeding heart liberals, and they are like the poster child for those who latch on to the first story that comes across their feed. The aha, we got them now crowd. And Yeah. Well, one's a cousin, one is an aunt. And she's literally one of those people who was screaming and crying at the camera when Trump won. She literally said to me that it was just a matter of time before all the gays were rounded up and put into camps. See, I have a gay cousin. I have a lesbian cousin who's married to another woman, and they have an adopted child together. And you know what? I still love them. I still care about them. I am personally not gay, but if you're gay, go for it. I really don't give a shit. You want to adopt a kid? I mean, you know, they're your typical lipstick lesbians. I have no problem with anything that they do. And, you know how it works with a lot of these liberals. If you're for one thing Donald Trump is for, then you're for all of it. No. So, she calls me up and actually says the words to me. Now, provided this aunt of mine is an old hippie, you know, peace, love, and happiness, flower child, I mean literally, product of the 60s. And she literally said, my sweet, sweet, sweet aunt who I love and admire, I don't care what her politics are, your family, blood is thicker than water, I love you, I don't care. She actually said the words to me that now that Trump won, they're going to kick in our lesbian cousin's doors, take their adopted kid away from them, and teach this kid how to blow old white men. She literally said those words to me on the phone. I shit you not, my hand to God, that's exactly what she said. What? And now, in the face of complete and utter contradiction, she's silent. And she's definitely cut me off because of some of the things that I've posted. For Facebook posts, that's why she cut me off. Facebook posts, you know, protecting her peace. It's a shame. I really hate to see my own family suffer such delusion. But they're the exact ones right now who are just completely confused by how all these countries are now saying that they will come to the aid of the United States. And they don't understand how that's possible. They just immediately think that's not true. Oh, but it is. They all collectively put out a joint statement saying that they would be helping us secure the Strait of Hormuz. Italy, the UK, France, Japan, who he just insulted, right? Yeah. You see, if you are one of these people that suckles at the teat of mainstream media, yeah, that would probably confuse you. But us intelligent individuals like you and myself, we know better, right? So today's news is going to be hilarious, I'm sure. Going to be so wonderful. All right, so bear with me while I get all these audio settings right, because like every time I reopen this app, everything gets all stupid. So,
but I think really there aren't a lot of policy options.
Given a target or a bunch of targets, and they begin to study.
Right. Thanks so much, Philip. We appreciate your report.
From a tools company into a mission-critical system of action.
All right. All right. I am going to, you know me, I go in and out during the morning. I am about to go have me a smoke. I'm going to leave you with Pete Hegseth.
Doing their pre-flight check.
I'm going to watch this from my phone while I'm out there. So I'm still in the chat.
On a long and stressful journey. During the
never mind. I thought that was Hegseth. Is this from yesterday?
Technology and capabilities, and they'll do multiple aerial refueling efforts across tankers on the way to the AOR, area of responsibility, either coming from the States or coming from a forward deployed basing. And I will tell you, as a fighter pilot, getting gas is a lot easier in an F-16 than it is in a B-1 B-2 or a B-52, where you are handling this airplane. It is a physical thing, unlike a fighter that's a lot easier. And they stay on that boom for sometimes up to 30 minutes, taking hundreds of thousands of pounds of gas. It is a physical, demanding thing to take gas, and they do it multiple times on the way there, and they do it multiple times on the way home. As they enter the operating area, they bring the entirety of America's joint force together to go do the things that we've tasked them to do, to put bombs on time, on target, with the proper effects. And I know they're feeling a range of emotions, but the thing the American people should take away from it is they're filled with a focus that is incredibly impressive.
Yep, that's because they believe in this war and they understand its importance. I kind of want to go see what old BB is saying.
Before this
he's supposed to be dead, right? You see what the left is saying. Okay, maybe he's done. But the left have been saying, or they've been praying for him to die. And they think since he's been missing for 7 days, that means he's dead.
More than 300 missiles, an estimated 300 missiles on Israel. And the IDF estimates that 70% of Iran's launching capabilities have been destroyed or severely disabled. And in large part thanks to not only the joint U.S.-Israeli operation, but also the interceptions thanks to Israel's multi-layered defense system. An estimated 85 to 95% of the missiles have been intercepted, specifically by the Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 missile defense systems. We saw an Arrow 2 battery, as you may recall, earlier this week. Still, Iran, as we know, as we're seeing right now, has ballistic missile launching capabilities, but more so, the danger and the threat right now is these cluster munitions that they're loading their warheads with that can, when they're dispersed, basically evade Israel's interception capabilities. Several people have been killed since Wednesday by cluster bombs landing, including 3 Palestinian women near the West Bank city of Hebron, the first Palestinian deaths so far in this war. On that note, the IRGC spokesman, General Ali Mohammed Naimi, said early this morning, kind of countering Prime Minister Netanyahu's remarks, that Iran still has the ability to make and to launch ballistic missiles. Well, as we found out this afternoon, that general, according to the IDF, was killed today in joint U.S.-Israeli airstrikes. Back to you guys.
You know, John, as you were talking, I took down some notes. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Iran cannot enrich any more uranium. That's one. 2, missiles have been decimated. And on top of that, the Prime Minister stated that they're currently destroying Iran's future capabilities to create additional, new missiles. So why is the ground invasion being called for by the Prime Minister?
Well, the Prime Minister, I mean, there's been talk about sending ground forces into, I don't think a decision has been made. My understanding, that hasn't happened. But one primary reason would be for special forces to go in and take what's left of the enriched uranium. Iran still has basically 60% enriched uranium, which is enough to make, a very crude nuclear weapon. They are at the 90% point. Now they still have, I can't remember the exact number, but they still have enriched uranium. So the objective would be to send special forces in to secure that uranium. But that is a very, very dangerous proposal. It would take, probably 1,000 troops at least to go in. It would take the equipment, bulldozers to get into the mountains that have been damaged, where these facilities have been covered, because the Iranians built these facilities very deep underground. So it would be a major, major operation, and a very dangerous operation too.
Thanks so much, John Huddy. I always appreciate your insights.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Our political panel weighs in after the break.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
He tells it like it is.
At Vistaprint, we print signs so people can see your brand up close. But we also print signs so that people can see your business here, see it here, and see it here, so you stand out, even when they're way back here. Get 15% off signs and banners at Vistaprint.com.
The body that you have 90 days after you start is going to be the best body you've ever had in your life.
Once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want life insurance that fits their budget and is simple to get. Coverage options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. Act now, and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase, guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums, guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free beneficiary planner. Both are free with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call now and you'll also get this free beneficiary planner. Use this valuable guide to record important information and your final wishes. And it's yours free just for calling. So don't wait. Call 1-800-355-9660. That's 1-800-355-9660. There's no risk or obligation. That number again is 1-800-355-9660. That's 1-800-355-9660. Call now.
From Washington to Iran, we've got plenty to talk about this morning. Let's bring in our political panel to discuss. Raymond Lopez is a Democrat alderman from Chicago. Also with us is Newsmax contributor Tom Borelli. Great to have you both on this Friday morning. Dr. T, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on the multi-layer defense system John Huddy talked about moments ago.
Well, certainly, yeah. I think what's going on there and around obviously is very challenging. But I think we're certainly on the right path, and it's going to take more persistence, more effort, and more defense to protect the Gulf states, around Iran. I think Iran is desperate. But when you take a big look at this, President Trump, unlike any other president, he's taking this initiative, I believe, because he knows he's the only president that could do this. For how many decades did we watch Iran kill Americans, fund terrorism worldwide, state sponsor of terrorism? Then we had the outrageous effort of both Obama and Biden of giving them money, which only funded terrorism. That is a suicide policy. I think we're on the right track. It's going to take a little time, but at the end of the day, Americans will be safer as well as the world.
Raymond, I compare this like, me and my friend, we just want to go out, get a quick drink, maybe an appetizer or two. Then all of a sudden we get there, and my friend starts ordering a couple of appetizers, soup and salad, an entree, and I'm the one who said, I'm treating.
Oh, it's not a good
That's
situation.
what this sounds like here. We were told 3 weeks, virtually in and out, destroy capabilities. Now we're still there, 3 weeks into the war, and they're asking for $200 billion. That sounds like a long-term campaign. And then our ally in the Middle East, Benjamin Netanyahu, is talking about a ground invasion. Are we going to let Israel do that alone? I don't think so. I think we're going to be right there by their side. But President Trump says no ground troops. Walk us through this, because the American people are confused, and this might actually politically impact the midterm elections.
Well, good morning. Yes, I do absolutely believe it will impact the midterm elections. And for your analogy, you also forgot that your guest ordered 2 tomahawk steaks and 1 to go. That's exactly how expensive this is going to be. And look, I fully agree. We need to address the safety concerns that Iran has presented us and address the mistakes, the policy mistakes that we've seen other administrations make. However, we also have to remember how these processes end up. And we have to think back to Operation Enduring Freedom, which was meant to be a quick regime change in Afghanistan in 2001. and it ended up lasting 20 years, costing us over $600 billion in direct military spending and nearly $2 trillion to the American people as a whole after 20 years. I don't think any of us want to go down that path again, and I don't think President Trump does either, but he needs to be forthright and direct with the American people and let them know exactly what the game plan is, because nobody wants to be footing the bill for our friends who didn't tell us up front what they expected to order that night.
So true, and that's maybe one of the reasons why the NATO allies are saying, you know what, I'm going to sit this one out and eat at home.
Well, turning to this, President Trump hosting the Prime Minister of Japan at the White House, having a very interesting response about keeping the strikes in Iran a secret.
So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me, do you believe in surprise? I think much more so than us. And we had to surprise him, and we did.
I was watching the Prime Minister of Japan's face there. I think she was even cracking a smile at what President Trump was saying. Tom, your reaction?
Yeah, it really was a funny moment, and only President Trump would do something like that, but he's right about history. I mean, you have to lay history out the way things unfolded, and certainly you want to have the element of surprise in any attack. As we know, Washington, D.C., and let alone the world, how many leaks would have happened if we had given advance notice to even some of our congressmen as well as the world?
Yeah.
You know, Raymond, what just came across my mind is like a huge breeze of optimism. And let me explain this. One, when you think about what happened between the US and Japan, and now fast forward all these years later, we're the best of friends, allies if you will. Then when you look at other situations around the world in the past who have become our allies, even China, there's a lot of tension, but we've come a long way with China. So what is the hope for Iran in this situation?
Well, I think the hope for Iran and indeed the entire Middle East is that we can put conflict aside. We don't have to live in constant war with each other. You know, yes, humanity's history is strife with examples of warfare going back thousands of years. Yes, we know that. But we can also move beyond that. And I think being able to have the heads of state for Japan and the United States, who were just 80 years ago mortal enemies, now sitting side by side. We've hosted the German chancellor at the White House. Even though Germany was behind World War II, we can move on. And that needs to be an example to everyone, how we can move on. And after war, how we can invest in each other and build symbiotic relationships that benefit everybody.
I'm really hoping for that new leadership in Iran that can actually help usher in and broker the level of diplomacy that we see right with our allies like Japan.
Yeah. Well, turning back here stateside, Tom, one man who can't seem to escape the spotlight is former FBI Director James Comey. He was one of the many former Obama-era intelligence officials to receive a subpoena this week, with reports saying it relates to his role in the Russian election interference investigation. Tom, what are you expecting this time around?
Well, hopefully we'll get some accountability from Comey et al. Because in my view, they had a coup against the incoming president and then president of the United States, Donald Trump. So he needs to be accountable. Whether or not he'll face any legal repercussions, I'm not sure. But at least his name will be tarnished in history, because I think that's most important. And I'd also like to address John's point with respect to Iran versus Japan. Japan, at that time, the whole nation was radicalized by propaganda by imperial Japan. You had Japanese soldiers jumping off cliffs not to be taken by Americans because they thought we were evil. The Iranian people, the vast majority of them, they understand what freedom is about. It's only the radical mullahs that took it over. So once we get this done, I'm very optimistic, to John's point. It'll be an easier lift than it was for Japan, which is an amazing story from where we started.
It is.
You actually read exactly what was in my mind. And it might sound very crazy to a lot of people, but it's plausible with the right leadership. Raymond and Tom, thanks so much for joining us today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy your Friday.
You too. Well,
up next, airport anxiety. Travelers dealing with long lines at the TSA checkpoints amid the partial government shutdown.
Newsmax heading to New York's LaGuardia Airport to see how flyers really feel. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Nothing is off limits to David Harris Jr. And there's no apologies, because he's armed with common sense, real faith, and the truth. Don't miss him on The Pulse tonight.
Does sitting or standing all day long leave you suffering? Whether it's discomfort, a lack of mobility, or the demands of your occupation, staying seated for long periods of time can do harm to your body. Add extra steps to your day with Ellipse. Ellipse is a premium automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation, all without the strain, pain, and exertion of traditional exercise. Ellipse's power-assisted mechanism lets you reap the benefits of a workout while keeping your mind free to focus on work, reading, or even watching TV. It loosens stiff joints and tight muscles, reduces swelling, and calms restless legs for you, lowering your pain and increasing your flexibility, all while you relax.
Call the number on your screen now to order your Ellipse today and upgrade to the Ellipse Deluxe Bundle with advanced features like a faster motor, step counter, sport mat, and wireless remote absolutely free.
Using the Ellipse couldn't be simpler. You plug it in, place your feet on the pedals, select your speed, and relax. Ellipse does all the work. Compared to other seated exercisers, Ellipse has a larger rotation diameter. That means no harsh starts and stops, just ultra smooth motion that's low impact and safe.
Ellipse fits perfectly under my desk, and it is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
My legs are stronger, my joints are no longer stiff. I can walk without pain.
If you call now, you'll get upgraded to the Ellipse Deluxe Bundle completely free with advanced features like a faster motor, step counter, sport mat, and wireless remote. That's a $100 value, absolutely free.
Start moving better and feeling better with the Ellipse today.
800-979-1680. That's 800-979-1680.
The smartest people on earth know how to spot a good deal. That's why they shop at Ollie's First. You'll save up to 70% off the fancy store's prices. So you go, you smart and savvy shopper. You know where the real deals are, where they sell good stuff cheap.
Ollie's! Good stuff cheap! You have a long line?
Yes.
We have video from Atlanta. It was insane this morning. You were there today?
Yeah, I was.
How long did you wait?
I actually left because I missed my flight because it was so long.
That's all because of this guy right here. Chuck Schumer, who refuses to fund DHS. It's this guy's fault right here, Chuck Schumer.
Yes, definitely.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats refuse to fund DHS.
That's not Chuck Schumer, is it?
That's Chuck Schumer right there.
I thought he had more hair than that.
There's so many lines all over the place, all because Chuck Schumer wants to protect criminal illegal aliens from being deported.
That's untrue, you know that, right?
But he's not funding DHS.
That's okay.
Thank God they're not letting the SAVE Act pass. Holy I think they should hold that line harder, man.
They don't want criminal illegal aliens deported from the country.
Right, correct. Definitely. And it affects everybody, and it's not fair.
It's all because the Democrats refuse to deport criminal illegal aliens.
Really?
People who are being deported actually aren't criminals.
Can you name one person that you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, there are tons of them. I mean, yes, people in my community. Well, no, I can't give you one name because it's like your neighbors next door.
What's your message to Chuck Schumer if he's watching?
Never did the right thing, not doing his job, replace him.
Please retire, Chuck Schumer. Let anybody else do your job. That'd be awesome.
Well, maybe not AOC. We wouldn't want AOC to step in to do Chuck Schumer's job, although Chuck Schumer is moving more and more left as a result of the wave of the Democrats who are becoming radicalized. But it's clear the Democrats are not able to understand the effects of their policies and what is happening on the American public because TSA workers are working double, and also the lines are absolutely outrageous. And none of this has to do with really DHS funding. They're holding Americans hostage.
I think they don't care.
No, they don't.
They hear, the videos, they hear the news reports, they know what's going on with the American people and the risk that they're taking, possibly not making their flights, having paid thousands of dollars to go on cruises, to go on all these different things. And you know what? They don't care because they're willing to risk it all. It's like they're rolling the dice, right? Playing with the American people's travel, leisure, and their pocketbooks. And it's really ridiculous. And the American people are actually shifting their strategy. I'm actually taking a trip next month, a long weekend. Guess what? I'm not flying out of JFK or LaGuardia, two of the busiest airports in the nation. I'm actually flying out of Westchester. That airport only has 5 gates. So there's not going to be a long, long line.
Interesting.
I had to pay a little bit more money for that flight.
Right.
But it's worth it to reduce the risk.
That's very smart, and I think Americans' behavior in general they're going to be changing. This is the height of the spring break season. We're seeing Passover, Easter, all the holidays upcoming, and it's really holding Americans in a tough spot. I don't think this is going to be settled anytime soon, so behaviors will change. Maybe more people will take to the roads or go elsewhere, but this is just so unfair to the TSA workers, many of whom I've mentioned before, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
True.
It's not right that they have to take on additional jobs to just make ends meet, where they're in charge of a lot of our security here within the United States. I mean, these people are in charge of seeing whether or not we have terrorists through our airports.
They sure are. What did I miss? Not much, I'm assuming. Boy, don't you know, the talking heads on TV today are going to be all over Trump's Prime Minister of Japan thing. Oh. What absolute hilarity. Don't be so uptight. That was funny. It was hilarious. These people acting like, oh, but our country. Yeah. Like some of you give a shit anyway. I find it hilarious that it's the same people that are like, down with everything Trump is doing and down with everything America does. These are the same people that are like, it's embarrassing as an American. And now you care. Don't be so uptight. It's so funny to me, though, because very shortly after, Japan then went and threw their support in for us. That the Prime Minister of Japan, she was more upset at that Japanese reporter for asking such a dumb question. Yeah. I found it hilarious because I am not my ass isn't so tightly wound up. Oh God, it was hilarious. I laughed so hard I almost puked. Like, for real. I really did. I wasn't offended or anything of that nature. Okay, so since we are just killing time, I'm going to go look at some memes. Would you like to join me? Let's go look at some memes. My wife and I don't wear wedding rings. We show our commitment to one another by exchanging SIM trays in our... How sweet. I'd do. Dude, I am still waiting on Coinbase to free up my funds. It's been like 40 hours since I did what they wanted me to do. Oh, that's easy. That's Monty Python. That's the Holy Grail. Democratic governor begs rich people who fled New York for Florida to return and foot the bill for generous social programs. Womp womp, eat shit. I love Star Trek. Fetterman claims Democrats are ruled by Trump derangement syndrome. He's not wrong. I mean, you know, if there's anything that Democrats are for, they should speak up. Because so far, this entire year Trump's been in office, I haven't heard one policy issue put forth. Not one. If it doesn't have something to do with hating Trump, they've got nothing. There's nothing else that they've got that I've seen. If I'm wrong, by all means, correct me. I would like to be wrong. If you clicked on my video and noticed that thumbnail, I posted another video with the same thumbnail. That's pretty much, it's just a snippet from yesterday's stream of a funny that I decided to make. Since everybody's so damn uptight, I figured I would do my best to, you know, stick my finger in it. Because that's what I do. People need to not be so uptight. Yeah, this right here really upsets me. To see this kind of thing happening in the modern age. He was hung publicly for protesting. I mean, who in the world deserves to be bombed more right now than Iran? I mean, you can find plenty of videos out there of Iranians telling, you know, those that are protesting to shut up and read the room. But that's what the other side does. They, if it wasn't for hating Trump, they'd have no policies whatsoever right now. Name one. You can't. There are none. I aged my urine 4 weeks. I love it. I apply a few drops in my elbow pit. My urine has a scent I actually like. It reminds me of the horse stables from my childhood. After a while on my skin, the scent changes to a honey fragrance. Yeah. No. I swear I think some of these posts are just, you know, they're just trolls trying to get reactions, man. I will say, however, that I know from experience, you're probably going to find this kind of gross, but about 10 years ago, I was a drug addict. Okay, and I went like 3 months without taking a shower. And something I found from that experience was after about a month and a half. Yeah, you stink like hell, but after a month and a half, that stink goes away. Like, no kidding. It really went away completely. As a matter of fact, I actually got during that time. And I was like, she went for it, and I wasn't going to stop her, but I was like, oh, god damn. I hadn't had a shower in forever. But she still did. It was one of the best I ever had, too. Yeah, gross. Gross as hell. But, yeah, it happened. Won't be doing that again. The not showering part. But the thing is as soon as I showered, within 3 days, I was stinking again. I really believe that that the soaps and deodorants out there are designed to make you stink quicker. Because I swear, it was the strangest thing. It was the strangest thing. UAE dismantles Iran Hezbollah-funded network. Cool. This. Oh, Jesus. Yep. See? Iran just pledged $73 billion more to the United States. Right after all that happened. Confused? Well, you would be if you followed the narrative of mainstream media, because they don't tell you anything if it's not, anti-Trump. Women aren't bothering in hijab laws, dancing, which is illegal. Yes, good. Dance in those streets, people. I love seeing this for Iran. I absolutely love it for Iran. God, I absolutely love it for Iran. I am so, so happy. What are these people over here saying? I see somebody on the screen
on
here.
notice. Secondly, I want to talk about the allegations against Donald Trump and how this relates to the deposition today. I believe that there is more than one allegation of rape by a minor in the Epstein files involving President Trump.
What do you think?
Today, the ranking member talked about Jane Doe 4, which is a known FBI investigation in which a minor who was an adult by the time the FBI interviewed her alleges that Donald Trump attempted to rape her, as well as Jeffrey Epstein. But in the estate files that were transmitted to the committee months ago, there was also evidence of a lawsuit and a restraining order against Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I asked today the attorney in this deposition if these were two different individuals, and he could not confirm. I believe these are two different allegations involving two different minors.
Of course you would.
If that is indeed the case, that means that there is not just one allegation of rape of a minor by President Donald Trump. It means there is two in the existing Epstein files, one at the Department of Justice and two inside of the estate files that were transmitted to the committee. And the continued unwillingness of the Department of Justice and the President to answer basic questions about this case are evidence of a continued cover-up. And there is nothing that the President has said or done or anything in these files that has exonerated him or shown that any law enforcement agent has exonerated him from culpability in either or both of those cases. Finally, New Mexico has begun to reopen a criminal investigation at Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, which was one of the many properties in which Jeffrey Epstein committed acts of sexual abuse against minors, both girls and boys. We know that there was not only criminal allegations brought to the FBI and DOJ, but there was also a civil suit involving an allegation against Jeffrey Epstein at the ranch. Mr. Indike, who is in the room being deposed right now, managed the ranch property.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. For one thing, this thing about Epstein and little boys, dude, it is well known Epstein had a very particular taste. He liked young girls, very skinny, tall, skinny young girls. That was his thing. This is the first time I've ever heard anything about young boys. So that right there immediately makes me skeptical. Yeah, I mean, I keep an open mind because, you and I, we don't have all the information in front of us, but I just have a hard time with this. But I mean, if it comes out to be solidly proven, then, so be it. But I'm just not buying it.
Are in the midst of the most egregious cover-up in American history. Darren Indike, just like Richard Kahn, just like Les Wexner, these are three men who played a major role in Jeffrey Epstein's life and a major role in...
See, I mean, if there was any truth to this, in my opinion, okay, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, why wouldn't this have been brought up the first time he was running for president, not to mention the second time? And also, I think it's important to note that, it's very well established that Jeffrey Epstein gathered blackmail on the people that he associated with. He wasn't stupid. If anything, he wasn't stupid. So why would you gather evidence? Okay, well, because you think that perhaps in the long run, you might need that evidence. You might need that blackmail to, to safeguard yourself and your own freedom. Okay? That being said, is it any wonder that the person who allegedly turned him in would be the one now with the most damning evidence? It just is too convenient. It's just too convenient. I'm not buying it.
Relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Can't go into the details, but when the transcribed interview comes out, I think that's important to look at, and how he discusses the allegations that have been made against President Trump by, at the time, minors. This is very, very concerning to me. And I will just end by saying that I am extremely disappointed in how Republican Chairman Comer is handling this investigation. The vast majority of these subpoenas and where we're at with this investigation is because Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have been pushing it over and over and relentlessly. We have not backed down from this. And last night what we saw was unbelievable. They were absolutely trying to work with Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche to use this fake hearing as a way to get out of the deposition. That is unacceptable. We are demanding that Attorney General Pam Bondi come forward on April 14th for a deposition under oath to answer questions in front of the American people.
Thank you, everyone. Dave Mann, California 47, and I'm an attorney, a former law professor. Had the chance to ask a few different lines of questions earlier with Mr. Indyke. And I have to say I'm very surprised that he did not take the Fifth Amendment. I think it's very likely he perjured himself over and over and over again. And just to give you a few examples, I'm not going to go into detail, but he claimed, and I think this is in the statement you all received, that he had no knowledge of any women or girls, and yet that doesn't account for the fact that numerous women have described how he helped them fix their problems. One woman had described how he had helped her get an apartment. He helped women with their immigration issues. He reportedly told a number of women not to talk to police when the police started investigating Epstein. It's just not credible to claim that you had no knowledge of what was happening. I asked, among other things, about the $725,000 that he withdrew in cash at the maximum level of $7,500 per withdrawal. That doesn't trigger federal reporting. He couldn't describe what that was for, just kind of, again, claim no knowledge, and don't want to get into the details. You'll read the transcript, but this is just not credible. What is also really something that is incredible is that the FBI and Department of Justice had never interviewed Mr. Indyke or Mr. Khan, even those people were central figures in the Epstein files and the scandal around the rapes, the human trafficking, and all that. And I just want to applaud Robert, Jasmine, Summer Lee, who's not here with us, because it's under their leadership that we are moving forward right now. And I think what has become crystal clear over the course of these last few depositions is that these people are going to lie to us over and over and over. And what is really important is that we get the documents, because the documents are the things that can actually show us what actually happened here. I suspect he's going to give a few more hours of saying how he knows nothing in defiance of actual evidence showing he knew a lot. I think he, again, is perjuring himself. If I was advising him, I'd tell him to take the Fifth Amendment, because I believe he's guilty of perjury. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Walkinshaw.
Thank you, James Walkinshaw, Virginia's 11th District. Look, Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operation would not have been possible without Mr. Indyke's services. Legal services, yes, but as we heard today and has been reported, he was a personal fixer for Jeffrey Epstein, fixing any problem that existed in his life. And he would have us believe, much like President Trump, that despite the long and in-depth relationship that he had with Mr. Epstein for 23 years, that he saw no evil or heard no evil about the crimes that were being committed. Personally, after 2 hours of hearing that, I find it very hard to believe. He claims they had no personal friendship or relationship and it was all business. Yet, we know that Jeffrey Epstein paid Mr. Indyke nearly $45 million over the time that he worked for him. On top of that,
Follow the
Epstein's
money.
will leaves Indyke $50 million.
Woo.
Hard to believe they didn't have a personal relationship or friendship when he was paid $95 million for legal services.
I mean,
I don't
that's
buy
not
it.
a
This
good
cover-up
look.
needs to end.
Yeah, there's
Attorney
something
General
being
Bondi
covered
needs
up.
to follow the law. She said she'll follow the law. The
There's
law's
definitely
clear.
something being covered
Comply
up.
with the subpoena. Show up on April 14th. Answer questions under oath.
One more thing, and then if there's a question or two, I'll answer those. I want to just note that it's important that after this deposition, that the majority release the unedited versions of both Mr. Khan and Mr. Indike's testimony. Now, Mr. Khan's testimony has not been released yet. We expect and are asking that the video, full video of both are released as soon as possible. They came out pretty quickly after the Clinton depositions. We're still waiting. Why we don't have Mr. Khan's deposition? Why we need to have Mr. Indike's deposition out, fully transcribed, out in the public immediately. So I want to just end with that, and we'll take a question or two if there is any.
I have two questions. The first is when you talk about the estate being out of compliance with two tenets of the subpoena, can you just explain a little bit about what those two things are? And then secondly, when you look at now having had Wexner, Khan, and Indike, a really big trio in Epstein's inner orbit, do you think that the public would benefit from a public hearing? Do you think that there's enough that you've heard for a criminal referral? I mean, what is the action item when you have people who were that close to the Epstein inner orbit in front of you when DOJ has never even had that in some cases?
Sure. To the first question on the Epstein estate, the documents. So the documents refer. There are two sections in the subpoena, and we're happy to get folks the actual subpoena. It's section 15 and 16. 15 refers to critical documents in the case of Giuffre versus Maxwell. There's some court documents and other documents that are very important to this committee for us to actually get and to be able to read. There's some other court documents within that section as well. As it relates to the other section of the subpoena, it's a variety of documents from different businesses and firms and organizations that have documents and communications with Epstein that we are waiting to get. Now, according to the lawyers, they feel that they have provided all the information that they have been asked for by the majority, and that they're waiting for any additional clarity or direction from the majority. We understand the majority perhaps feels satisfied with what they've received so far. We're again asking that we want every document outlined in the subpoena, including those two sections, every time that we've gotten documents from the estate. The birthday book, emails, photographs, video of the island, it has been very revealing, and we expect those documents to be as well. So that's the first question. The second question, as you asked about these gentlemen, we've long believed it's time for a public hearing. And in fact, because there's been no public hearing, we're actually organizing our own public hearing with survivors, with other folks in Epstein's orbit, with people from Palm Beach, from other areas of the country that have information about the case. So if the majority does not schedule public hearings around this investigation, us as oversight Democrats will certainly host those ourselves. And that's going to be happening in the weeks and months ahead.
Congressman, did Darren Indike or Richard Khan or Les Wexner, any sense of remorse or regret that they either helped him knowingly or unknowingly with such extensive abuse allegations?
I am actually stunned that there isn't actually a real show of real regret. And I think you'll see that in the depositions, in the video, and the transcript when it comes out. I mean, these are two men that were at the center of Epstein's crimes that facilitated the abuse and rape of women and children. And for there not to be an enormous amount of regret and apology, I think is quite shameful. We'll take one more question.
On the Bondi deposition, have you guys spoken?
You know, why has there been so much secrecy? Well, because they're all involved somehow. Now, just because they were on the plane doesn't make them guilty of the nefarious things that went on. I think that could be evidenced by, some of the people who took those flights. Because, while Jeffrey Epstein did do some horrible shit, that's not all the man did. He did do other things. Now, were those things a means to an end? Sure, maybe, probably. But it doesn't take away the fact that he did some legitimate shit. Under the guise of whatever, but he did legitimate shit. So that's why you have so many people on these flight logs, because most of them probably didn't do anything. You know, people like Oprah Winfrey, or women for one, you know, unless they were out there getting young boys, which is certainly possible, but I really doubt it. You know what I mean? So just because your name's on those flight logs, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But people don't want to believe that. People don't want that to be true. People want their biases confirmed. And that's everybody. That's on the right, that's on the left.
And I think that the Trump administration, President Trump and Secretary of State Rubio are the men to effect this, what would be profoundly sweeping change.
You know, Jolly, I'm 6'1" and X pounds. You know, I have a healthy appetite. However, the American people, they're looking at what's going on like, okay, you know what, we got to help Ukraine. Because, you know, we have to help Israel. They're our biggest ally. Oh, perhaps, yeah, I'll stay with that. Biggest ally in the Middle East. And then when you look at this side of the hemisphere, yeah, we got to make sure that we protect our interests concerning Venezuela and Cuba. There's a lot going on.
Sure is.
And is there an appetite for the American people to take all of this on at the same time? Because you can make the case that each one is necessary.
Sure. Yeah, and we've listened to President Trump recently with when the MLS team went to the White House and he was talking to Secretary Rubio and saying, we're going to wait for the Cuba one. We're going to finish first with Iran and then we'll take on Cuba. It is a lot. But we are the United States of America. We're the beacon of hope of the world. And even though we need to, the American people sign up for an American first agenda, and that needs to be our main priority. We also want to see our hemisphere safe. Cuba has been an exporter of, the wrong ideology, left ideology to Latin America for a very long time, creating monsters like Nicolás Maduro and creating instability in the region. So this is the moment. It is a very strategic moment in history. We have to do it if we want to preserve our peace over here. We've seen in the past what happened with Cuba and the missile crisis. This place has been for...
She pronounced Nicolás Maduro correct, but then she said Cuba.
As far as the negatives were concerned, because obviously we're lower this morning, R&D expenses climbed 42% just quarter over quarter, which is substantial. And we also did see their SG&A costs climbing now roughly 23% year over year, reflecting some higher commissions and marketing. Now, vehicle margins are still modest at roughly 13% despite improvements, but some room to continue to improve there. But all that to be said is we do see right now this race to become more efficient and obviously try to work out a different environment for the automotives as a whole. I will say that this was a pretty strong report, and actually, all things considered, we've actually had a pretty strong week for a lot of these EVs. I know they're volatile in nature, but I will say
Iranian combat capabilities by striking military targets deep inside Iran. Now, that is coming from an X post there from U.S. Central Command. We're going to take you out now to a live look over Beirut, Lebanon. You can see here a live look there, as we know that Israeli military is targeting Hezbollah infrastructure there in Beirut, Lebanon. As we continue our coverage, we're tracking the latest developments coming out of the Middle East as Iran hit a Saudi refinery on the Red Sea.
Look at this. The biggest stock loser in pre-market so far is Supermicro Computer, losing 25%. Wow. Well, what the hell is that? Overall, from when though? See, so these things just don't vibe, man. Like, what? You pull it up, and what's it down 25% from? From yesterday? 32? No, from 32 to 30. That's not 25%. Well, to be fair, it's pre-market. And that was yesterday, yeah. So if that's 25%, then it's down about $8. That's $7 and change. So upon market opening, this should drop to $22. Yikes. I mean, damn. That's going to be quite interesting. That does not bode well for Mr. Michael Saylor. Right. I'm going to put some news back on. I'm going to grab me a smoke again.
War objectives.
I shall return.
Decided by the Trump administration.
Got to get more coffee.
We're going to take a live look now over the White House. We're going to bring you there now. Taking a live look there. 8:15 there on the eastern side as President Donald Trump met with the Prime Minister of Japan yesterday, and where he made a quip about Pearl Harbor Thursday when asked if Japan and other American allies were given advance notice about attacking Iran, saying the U.S., quote, wanted surprise. Now, he also met with the Japanese Prime Minister yesterday during a Trump dinner held there, and we are going to take a listen in some of those comments that were made there.
The end of a perfect day starts with Naomi Pinot Noir. With its rich notes of dark cherry, vanilla, and mocha. And an unforgettably smooth finish that lingers long into the night. It just might be what makes the night truly special. Naomi, the perfect finish.
また私は最近この選挙において応援のメッセージを送ったんですけども、そこで高市総理は圧巻の勝利を示したということで、それも称えさせていただきたいと思います。
And I want to congratulate the Prime Minister on that unbelievable, all over the world they were talking about it, that victory in last month's election, winning by numbers that, as I said, nobody's ever seen in Japan before.
でまた世界中でもこれは大きな話題となり、高市総理ほどその票を獲得した人は今までいなかったと話題になりました。
And this was not only an amazing political achievement, it was a resounding declaration of strength and confidence, national spirit and resolve straight from the Japanese people who love you.
でまたこの勝利なんですけども、歴史上最大過半数を獲得したということで、これは圧巻の政治的な成果のみならず、力強さ、自信、国の精神と決心というものを国民から勝ち取ったという、これを宣言する結果となりました。
And the Prime Minister's visit comes as we're just days away from the most beautiful season here in Washington, which, by the way, is a crime-free city, just about. And we're very proud of that. We have done a great job, and it's a very safe place that people are coming to in record numbers. And the blooming of the Japanese cherry blossom trees is something very special. For more than a century, this magnificent explosion of pink and white has graced America's capital. I mean, it's been something that really represents Washington so well as a living symbol of the cherished friendships between two of our world's most extraordinary nations.
でまた総理は、ちょうど最も美しい時期にここ DC を訪問されています、これは日本の桜の木が満開間近になる時期であります。そしてここで加えさせていただきたいのが、今ここでの DC での犯罪率ゼロということで、非常に安全な場所になっていて、観光客もかなり記録的な数になっています。そして100年以上なんですけども、この桜の木というその爆発的な彩りですね、これを私たちは鑑賞することができました。これは日米の友情の生きている証、象徴であると思います。
And this year we're honored to receive an additional 250 cherry trees, and they're very big, beautiful trees from the great people of Japan in recognition of America's 250th anniversary. And they will remind every future generation of our timeless bond, and they'll be planted near and around the Washington Monument, and it's going to be something very special. They've already started the planting, but it's 250 beautiful specimen trees, and we'll get you over here. We'll check them out after they're planted. We'll get you back.
でまた今年はアメリカ建国250周年記念ということで、日本からさらに250本の桜の木を寄付していただいています。これは未来の世代にも永遠の私たちの絆を思い起こさせるものになることでしょう。これからワシントンモニュメント、またこの近隣で植樹をする予定ですけども、それが実際に植樹された後に確認をしてまいります。
Americans and Japanese come from opposite sides of the globe. But since the earliest days of commerce between our two countries, we've always recognized that despite obvious differences, we share a great deal in common.
また日米なんですけども、地球上全く反対の場所にありますが、昔ながらその通商というものを行ってまいりました。違いはあれど共通するものも多くあるということが言えます。
Both of our civilizations have been defined and propelled by proud cultures deeply committed to excellence, hard work, and pushing the frontiers of what is possible. That's why in every field, human endeavors from so many different sides of the planet, from medicine to music, from art to engineering, you find that Americans and Japanese are leading the way, always leading the way.
また日米の文明なんですけども、共通するというものは私たちが各々の文化に対して誇りを持っているということ、常に最高を目指すという精神、勤勉であり、また可能性のあるものに対して追求をやめないというところが共通してあります。だからこそ日本とアメリカは医療、音楽、芸術、エンジニアリング、さまざまな分野において世界を牽引しているのです。
These shared traits and values have transcended every trial, history, and you look no matter where you go, you see this, and ultimately made our nations into strong allies and very close friends. Our partnership has made both the United States and Japan stronger, freer, and more successful than virtually any other nation on the planet. And under the leadership of the Prime Minister and myself, I know we will soon make that partnership even stronger and better than ever before. We have that relationship, and actually it started quite a while ago.
また私たちが共通する特性というものは、私たちが経験してきた試練をも乗り越えられるほどのものでした。だからこそ私たちの同盟はさらに強く、また緊密な関係を今構築できているわけです。日米のパートナーシップのもと、私たちはより強く自由で成功する国となることができました。高市総理と私のリーダーシップで、これからさらにこの関係を強くできるということを確信しています。
On my visit to Tokyo last year, we reached a historic trade deal that will increase our cooperation on everything from energy to semiconductors and shipbuilding and pharmaceuticals. It was a big one of the biggest deals ever made. The United States is also encouraged to see the steps the Prime Minister is taking to expand her country's commitment to its own security and defense, and buying a lot of our defense equipment, I'm happy to tell you.
また、昨年私が東京を訪問した際に大きな取引を日本と交わしました。ここでエネルギー、半導体、造船、医療に関して協力を拡大するという、最も大きな取引でありました。またそれに加えて今日本が取り組んでいる、高市総理が取り組んでいる自国の防衛安全保障、この進化、強化に取り組んでいることを心強く思っており、そういった面では防衛装備品というものを多く購入していただいていることにも嬉しく思っております。
So just to close up with the commitment of the leaders and the biggest leaders in the country, some of the most successful people in the country politically and business-wise, and all of the partners in the room, the United States and Japan can be an unstoppable force for freedom, security, and progress for our countries and for the entire world to look up to. So let us stand together with the strength and dignity, purpose. Let us keep our people safe, our nations prospering, and our alliance flourishing for many, many generations to come. And with that, I'd just like to thank the Prime Minister. This is a spectacular woman, and it's an honor to have you with us at the White House. Thank you.
この世界を代表する力を持っている政治家、ビジネスリーダーの方が多くいます。彼らのコミットメントのもと、日米で自由、安保、国の成長というものを日米のみならず世界にももたらすことができ、私たちは止められない勢力になるということを私は確信しております。ですので、互いに力、尊厳、そしてその意思というものを持って共に立ち並びましょう。そして安全、国の繁栄、同盟の繁栄、増進に向けて取り組んでいきたいと思います。では次に高市総理の方からもお言葉を頂戴したいと思います。
トランプ大統領、ご列席の皆様、はじめにこのビューティフルディナーを開催していただいたことに心から感謝をいたします。
The Honorable President Donald J. Trump, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude for hosting such a beautiful dinner for me and my delegation.
ドナルドの日本への温かい思いや友情に改めてありがとうございます。
Donald, thank you very much for your warm feelings toward Japan and your friendship.
Imagine that.
私からは今宵2つのアニバーサリーにお祝いの言葉をお伝えしたいと思います。
So tonight, I would like to start off by extending my sincere congratulations on two important anniversaries.
一つ目は、明日に控えるドナルドのご子息のバロンさんのお誕生日です。立派でイケメンに成長されていると伺っております。
The first one is a birthday celebration. Donald, tomorrow is the birthday of your son, Mr. Baron Trump. And I know he has grown up so much into a very tall, good-looking gentleman.
間違いなくご両親に似たんだと思います。
Donald, it is very clear where he got it. Of course, from his parents, there's no doubt about it.
ぜひ私からのハッピーバースデーをお伝えいただけたら嬉しいです。
So, Donald, if I may ask you, please convey my sincere happy birthday wishes to him.
そして2つ目、はもうさっきドナルドが喋っちゃったんですが、アメリカ建国250周年を今年自由と民主主義の理念を世界に示してきたアメリカがその歴史的節目を迎えるということに日本政府および日本国民を代表して心からお喜び申し上げます。
The second one is the 250th anniversary of the United States, as you rightly mentioned. The United States has long been an icon of freedom and democracy in the world, and this year, the United States is marking a historic milestone. And on behalf of the government and the people of Japan, I would like to extend my deepest congratulations to you and the American people.
そして、8月には250周年を祝う、インディカーレースが、このドナルドの、発案で、ここワシントン DC で開催されると伺っています。
And I understand that in August this year, at Donald's suggestion, IndyCar race, Freedom 250 Grand Prix, will be held here in Washington, D.C.
美しいナショナルモードを絞れと、日本のホンダのエンジンが爆走します。
This race will bring roaring Chevrolet and Honda engines to the National Mall.
そして、インディカーの冠スポンサーは日本企業の NTT でありまして、まさに日米友好のシンボルです。
In addition, Japan's NTT Group has been a title sponsor of the IndyCar series. as you see in the car race, is a perfect example of the friendship between Japan and the United States.
偉大なレースの大成功をお祈りします。
So I do hope that you have a huge success at this racing event.
さて、ワシントン DC では日本の桜が長年春の訪れを知らせるとともに日米友好の歴史を体現してきました。
Speaking of our friendship, here in
And we were just listening in there to the Japanese Prime Minister take questions during President Trump welcoming the Japanese Prime Minister for dinner that was happening yesterday. We want to bring now this post here on your screen coming from the White House saying President Donald J. Trump and Japanese Prime Minister. We're going to slide away for a quick 2-minute break, but when we come back, more live coverage ahead.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious that that even after all of what happened with Trump mentioning Pearl Harbor, even after they took it on the chin, you know. Probably because they have the intelligence to know he was just fucking around. People have to understand by now that Trump doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. About things that are unimportant, that's okay. And in idle talk and just sitting around, like, these things don't really matter. So, you know, my advice to everybody would be to lighten up. Have a laugh. It's okay to laugh. And I think that's something that we as a society have forgotten. Well, perhaps not you and I, but a lot of them, you know, the they-thems out there have no sense of humor.
Those details, John, because I wanted to remind our viewers that Israel is in a 360-degree war, all around the country, not just Iran, but through its proxies. Thanks so much, John Huddy.
Thanks, John.
This is a temporary blip. Okay, what happened under the Biden administration is the gas prices were high for 4 years. Gas prices are higher right now. And frankly, they're not even as high as they were during certain parts of the Biden administration because of what's going on in the Middle East. It's not going to last forever. We're going to take care of business. We're going to come back home. And when that happens, you're going to see energy prices come back down to reality.
Gas prices continue to rise, putting more pressure
but
on
you know, thing about that is you realize that the rest of the world right now is paying about $150 a barrel, but not America. Well, why is that? Well, because we got all of Venezuela's oil for one. That's a big plus. And also because we have plenty of reserves. And if anybody else wants their prices to come down, they'll be buying it from us. China is now forced to, because we cut off their two main sources of oil, Venezuela and Iran. So yeah, gas prices are going to go up a little bit. I think that's due by and large to just, you know, the market freaking out and reacting. If I had to guess, I would say they are going to come down probably pretty soon. The rest of the world right now is paying far more than we are. Oh, DHS shut down, causing security risks at airports during a time we certainly don't need it. That's definitely a bad thing.
That this will occur.
Yeah, I do think that the gas prices will come down with time. The release of these strategic oil preserves is going to be really helpful. But
did he say
the
preserves?
Bigger picture too is that we need to look at as a country of how we become more energy independent so that we can project strength abroad without impacting the everyday consumer at home. We should not be worried about oil price while America sits on the largest oil reserves in the world.
That's why we're not.
My bigger concern, actually, more than oil and gas prices, is actually the LNG. We don't have a strategic reserve of LNG. And so you're going to see faster price shocks in that market that are going to be less easy to control. And it just comes back to, how do we make America more energy dominant, independent, you name it, whatever buzzword you want to use. We need to focus on helping ourselves first so we can do things abroad.
Interesting. Well, Thomas, the thing is that the old saying goes, time is money and money is time. And the thing is, initially, this war was actually mentioned to the American people as a 3-week war. Now they're asking for another $200 billion. So this might actually go into the summer months, the peak driving season of the year, if you will. How much appetite do you think that the American people have to swallow these high energy prices?
Well, that's the million-dollar question right now, is the longer this conflict goes on, the higher the chance that the prices are going to remain elevated throughout the year. And something I'm very concerned about is the targeting of energy infrastructure in the Gulf. Yes, that's not in the United States, but supply disruptions anywhere can lead to price increases everywhere.
I just found an interesting news article regarding the chart that's on your screen now. SMCI, Super MicroStrategy. Oh, come on. I just fucking found it. Let's see. Okay, so SMCI slides after an NVIDIA chip smuggling case. Yeah. The co-founder is charged with a $2.5 billion NVIDIA chip smuggling case. This is not a good look. Let's find that somewhere, shall we? Because this interests me very much. Very much, don't you know? Let's see, SMCI. Co-founder charged. Yeah, here we go. Where is it? Damn it.
Significantly, and in most cases, you.
What a bizarre series of events. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions here with a super quick market update. And yes, the news that you are hearing, breaking, Supermicro co-founder is arrested for smuggling $2.5 billion worth of NVIDIA GPUs to China. The Supermicro stock is currently down 12% after market hours. Again, this is all alleged. If it ends up not being true, then be ready for a possible V-shaped recovery. But if it is true, it is definitely not looking good. Think about it.
That's not a good look at all. Not a good look at all. Woo.
Coverage meets expert strategy. From the opening bell to the
Man, oh man, oh man. People are about to lose a lot of money just on that, even if it's true or not. Man, Super MicroStrategy is about to tank bad. Whew. Who the hell's calling me at 8:30 in the morning? Go fuck yourself.
The impending possibilities of a food shortage, which would drive prices higher, which will have a dynamic impact on interest rates. But thank you so much, Sam and Thomas. We appreciate your commentary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Stay tuned. First edition only on Newsmax 2. We'll be right back.
Alex Kramer delivers today's top headlines. That's next.
Man, I mean, jeez. Super MicroStrategy is going to dump. Look at that, man. It's down 25% in pre-market. Wow, dude. This is going to be wicked. Ooh, man, oh man. Technicals say sell. Analysts say buy. 1 year price target $40. Woo, watch that be downgraded like hell today. Man, the shorts are going to pile in. The shorts are going to pile in. Good luck catching that falling knife. I would not suggest anybody attempt to jump into that. Whew. There's no way you're going to catch that one. No way. It's just going to go as soon as the market opens. Great God.
Fast market weekdays at
Great God. What a time to be alive, huh? Oh, the world's fucked. I get such a kick out of some of these things. I probably shouldn't, but I do. I have such a I don't give a damn approach to things, and I just don't like. Lighten up. Life's too short. Laugh. It's okay. It's okay to laugh. You know, like how I'm laughing at my lack of viewers. Why? Why won't anybody watch my shit? Oh. In case you haven't figured it out, I'm here for me. But I do thank you for being here, my one faithful companion. Let's watch the world burn together, baby.
For a rebound, a reacceleration. So I think we were getting quite close to the end of this rate cutting cycle in.
All right, welcome back into First Edition. I'm Alex Kramer. Here's some stories we're following for you this Friday morning. Well, tragedy striking the Tuscaloosa community as University of Alabama student James Gracie was found dead in the water off of a Barcelona beach. Gracie was in Spain for spring break, last seen outside a nightclub early Tuesday morning. Gracie was just 20 years old. And of course, our condolences to his friends and the Gracie family. And now to this, Tulsi Gabbard's warning about AI is already looking like a reality, with 3 men now being charged with conspiring to smuggle American AI
there
to
it is.
China. Now, they are alleged to have diverted millions of high-performance computer chips assembled in the United States to China. A U.S. attorney saying that schemes like this pose a direct threat to national
Yes, they
security.
do. God damn.
And 8 states are fighting a major television merger that is expected to be approved by the FCC. Nexstar's proposed $6 billion acquisition of Tegna is now being contested in court, with a lawsuit saying that this merger would create a company that reaches 80% of American homes, far more than the 39% cap that was created all the way back in 2004. And Taylor Frankie Paul won't be handing out roses anytime soon. ABC has officially canceled her upcoming season of The Bachelorette. Now this after a video was released where she appears to punch, kick, and throw chairs at her former partner as her young daughter watched. Paul is famous for her role on The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which has now paused its production. And we're just one day into the NCAA men's basketball tournament, but already seeing the March Madness. According to ESPN, out of the 26 million brackets submitted, only 10,000 remain perfect heading into today. The main culprit? Well, 12th seed High Point taking down 5th seeded Wisconsin. And for all those still alive, good luck, as the odds of actually completing the perfect bracket are 1 in 9.2 quintillion. John and Cashapp.
So
What?
I have to ask the obvious question. How's your bracket doing?
I never do one because this is just so up in the air. You just never know, honestly. Ugh.
Well, I have to admit, I had a bracket for The Bachelorette. I'm really disappointed.
What is old BB saying over here?
From aerial attack. And third, this means creating the conditions for the Iranian people to grasp their freedom, to control their destiny.
Yes.
The body that you have 90 days after you start is going to be the best body you've ever had in your life.
What the fuck? Shut up. You damn commercials.
It is attacking the entire Middle East and beyond. They've attacked civilians and American assets in Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, and they've even attacked through their proxies Cyprus and Europe. We've warned for decades that their ballistic missile program would be used to attack these targets far and wide, and if they're not stopped, that's just the beginning. The death cult in Iran is trying to blackmail the world by closing a key international maritime route, the Straits of Hormuz.
Emphasis on trying.
It won't work. Israel is helping in its own way, and intel and other means, the American effort to open the Straits of Hormuz, rather. But I want to ask you to imagine how the Ayatollah regime would be able to blackmail the entire world if they had ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads. Just imagine what they would do. Look at what they're doing now and imagine what they would do if they had ballistic missiles, international range ballistic missiles, and nuclear-tipped warheads. Just imagine what a great threat that would be. So today, Israel and the United States are protecting America, Israel, the entire Middle East, but I venture to say the entire world. Despite the fake news that is unfortunately being spread since the start of the war 20 days ago, we are winning and Iran is being decimated. Iran's missile and drone arsenal is being massively degraded and will be destroyed. Hundreds of their launchers have been destroyed, their stockpiles of missiles are being hit hard, and so are the industries that produce them. That's important. In Rising Line, we destroyed missiles and we destroyed a lot of the nuclear infrastructure. But what we're destroying now are the factories that produce the components to make these missiles and to make the nuclear weapons that they're trying to produce. We're wiping out their industrial base in a way that we didn't do before. Iran's air defenses have been rendered useless. Their navy is lying at the bottom of the sea. Today we hit the other part of their navy in the Caspian Sea. Their air force is nearly destroyed. Iran's command and control structure is in utter chaos. And I can tell you that there's still more work to do, and we're going to do it. And I want to close these opening remarks with one other fake news, and that is that Israel somehow dragged the U.S. into a conflict with Iran. Does anyone really think that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on. President Trump always makes his decisions on what he thinks is good for America, and may I add, I think what is also good for future generations. In this case, those interests are absolutely clear, and so is the clarity of our achievements. Together in close coordination with President Trump, the close coordination between America and Israel, our militaries, our intelligence services, we're achieving goals in lightning speed. But I want to say another word. It's been said that for 40 years, I've been saying that Iran is a danger to Israel and a danger to the world.
Everybody has.
That is true. You know who else said that? President Trump. 47 years ago, when the Iranian thugs took over the American embassy, he said how dangerous this regime is. In his first term in office, he didn't need any convincing. He said the Iranian nuclear deal was the worst deal that he'd ever seen, and he walked out of it. Right before his second term, before he was reelected, I went to see him in Mar-a-Lago. The first thing he said to me was, "Bibi, we've got to make sure that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons." He said that to me.
Surprise.
I didn't say it to him. He didn't need any convincing there either. Now, why did he say that? Because for more than 4 decades, this regime, as I said in the beginning of my remarks, is chanting, "Death to Israel, death to America." But they say Israel is only the small Satan standing in their way.
The small Satan.
The great Satan is the United States of America. And these ideological fanatics, these lunatics, define their raison d'etre, their reason for being, is wiping out Western civilization and America that leads it.
Yep.
They have claimed the lives, they've maimed and wounded thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan. They killed the American Marines in Beirut. They bombed your embassies. They tried to assassinate the American president, Donald Trump, not once, but twice.
Yeah, sure did.
Now they blackmail for oil. Just imagine what they would do, what they're capable of doing, if these lunatics had nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city and every European city and everywhere around the globe.
Imagine, indeed.
This is a danger for the entire world. It's certainly a danger for Israel. It's certainly a danger for America. We see eye to eye on that. President Trump and I, Israel and America. But I think if people are honest, if leaders are honest, they would understand that we're not only fighting our fight, we're fighting their fight. I speak to dozens of world leaders. Dozens. They all know that.
Yeah.
And privately, they all say that. They say that privately, but I say it publicly. The world owes a debt of deep indebtedness to President Trump for leading this effort to safeguard our future.
Somebody had the balls to do it.
We'll now take a few questions. The first question is from Zach Anders from Newsmax.
Mr. Prime Minister, Zach Anders, Newsmax.
Somebody finally had the balls to do what needed doing. And that person who finally had the balls was Donald J. Trump. Like him, love him or hate him, somebody finally had the balls. And anybody wants to act like it's a bad thing to wipe Iran's Islamic Republic off of the face of the planet is a bad thing. You're delusional. You are flat out delusional. And you've got nothing but hate
Benjamin
in your heart.
Netanyahu is taking questions here. We are not going to be able to hear the questions from the reporter.
Well, no.
Once the questions
Technical
are
difficulties.
Transition. You don't want to replace one Ayatollah with another. You don't want to replace Hitler with Himmler. So I think the question is, will the conditions be created for such a change? I think it's too early to say. And I think in the final account, as I said, it's up to the Iranian people to show that, to choose the moment and to rise to the moment. We can create the conditions, but they have to, they have to explode those conditions at a certain point. It is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and I take the liberty of not sharing with you all those possibilities.
Would you recognize Pahlavi if the people keep chanting for him in the streets?
What?
And we were just listening in there to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu take some questions there from reporters, as he said on Thursday that Iran no longer has the ability to enrich uranium or make ballistic missiles. We're going to head over here to a X post on your screen here.
We're going to head over to these people. What do they say?
For a little bit longer. But the Trump administration did meet with several oil industry executives yesterday. And
Oil.
really
If you're just now joining us, Supermicro Strategy right now down 25% in pre-market due to an indictment that alleges 3 tied to the Supermicro computer. They were busted smuggling $2.5 billion worth of computer chips, NVIDIA GPUs, to China. This is likely going to hit NVIDIA as well. But it's going to be short-lived, but yeah, I wouldn't try and catch this falling knife if you want to jump in and try and get a short. You have been beaten to the chase. I guarantee it. Don't try it. I mean, not financial advice, of course. Do whatever you like. But I just wouldn't. Yeah, NVIDIA is not going to take all of that. They're not going to take that hit. I didn't think they would. I mean, it's still anybody's game. Anything could happen. But they're just, too big. Too big to be affected by this. It's a shame, too, man, because right towards the end of the day yesterday, Supermicro was on its way up. And this is a company I happen to like, but they've got nothing as far as fundamentals go. I mean, they used to be a software technology or a software developer, and then they switched just to solely adding Bitcoin to their bottom line, and that's legitimately like the reason for their spotlight in the market these days, completely 100%. Dude's trying to corner the market. This is going to cost them. It's unfortunate too, because Michael Saylor doesn't deserve this unless he was involved, which, man, come on. That'll come out later, but Jesus Christ. The balls on these people. The absolute gall. Like, come on. Money talks. And at the end of the day, that's all some of these people care about. $2.5 billion worth of restricted NVIDIA GPUs, huh? Damn. That's a hell of a story. We will continue to watch that at Newsmax.
Been a war used against the elderly.
No, that's more commercials. Fox News looks like they're having some technical difficulties. I'm going to go back over the Newsmax, let it sit there, and I'm going to go have a
They
smoke.
have nothing. If someone doesn't do something soon, a humanitarian disaster is coming. So many Jewish people who are just waiting for someone to care enough to pick up the phone.
Fears are growing that without an emergency, full-scale response, thousands will die this winter.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews needs your $25 gift now to help rush a winter survival food box of emergency food for elderly Jews and families in Ukraine. Time is critical. Please give now.
They felt the shaking of missiles. These are people who have already endured so much suffering and disaster.
The fellowship has been here and across the former Soviet Union for decades, but the need has never been more urgent.
Taking out power, taking out water, simple water to drink. We're talking about the difference between life or death. Christian, Jew, standing shoulder to shoulder, saying, we're here to heal, we're here to help.
Your gift of only $25 helps rush a winter survival food box filled with life-saving emergency food for elderly Jews and families in Ukraine who are struggling daily to stay warm and fed. Please call or go online while there is still time.
Wow, Newsmax is getting really creative with the
That's beautiful.
animation.
That was
Pretty
very
good.
cool.
Welcome back, folks. President Trump's recent comments suggesting he may release previously classified information about UFOs. Well, it has people talking.
After those remarks, Newsmax went out to ask people what they think.
Do you think aliens are real? I do.
No. Possible. So many universes out there.
I think so. I can't categorically deny their existence. I'm not sure.
They're definitely not green if they are real.
Yeah. Looking green and scary, so that's what I would think, but I don't know. I think they probably evolved.
Trump is expected to release some files on aliens. What do you think he's going to say? I don't think there's going to be any proof that they actually exist in those files.
I think they closely represent like humans. I don't think they're these crazy monster looking things.
What kind of technology do you think they have? Do you think they're more advanced than us?
Yeah, everything. Let's go there. They got everything.
No cars, definitely spaceships for sure.
Yeah, sure. We are aliens. Don't you see?
Okay, John, I know you have a lot to say about this. All I'm going to say is that the White House did register the domain name aliens.gov, so we'll have to see.
Folks, you heard it here first.
Okay.
UFOs, they don't exist. There's nothing higher than the Almighty God. And as long as you have faith in the Almighty God, you don't have to worry about anything that someone thought they saw in terms of lights moving around in the sky. We're the only ones on Earth, and there's nothing to be concerned about. Just focus on getting along with your neighbor. That's the most important thing.
I don't have much more to say beyond that, John. I would agree with that. I'm a little skeptical about UFOs. I think a lot of instances have occurred with drones. We saw that happen in New Jersey. People were confused maybe like 2 years ago. We had questions. Again, we will see what the White House provides with this aliens.gov website. They've registered it. They haven't made it live yet. They haven't uploaded anything. But if they do upload something, we'll bring it to you, despite our viewpoint that likely this is not what's happening. At least my viewpoint. I agree. I'm not a believer in aliens.
Aliens from outer space, as they say, cannot penetrate the firmament that God clearly established. And we'll leave it right there on this Friday morning. That does it for us today. But thanks for coming by.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you bright and early Monday morning. News Now is next.
President Trump has called for U.S. forces to open a new front in Iran as jets pound Iranian ships in an all-out battle to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, while countries now seem willing to help end this crisis. Stock markets here are still roiling. As the president says, short-term pain will lead to long-term gain. As we eliminate the threat from Iran, we'll get a live report from Wall Street this morning. And a tragic ending in the case of a missing college student celebrating spring break. The police are now laying out the last moments before he was last seen. A report from the crime desk with Jason Matera. News Now begins right now. Welcome to News Now. Happy Friday to everyone. I'm John Glasgow in for Shannon Cake today. Well, we are following several breaking headlines in the war with Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backing down from a major escalation. He says that the IDF will no longer target key Iranian energy sites. His comments come after the Israeli forces struck the world's largest oil field located inside Iran earlier this week.
President Trump asked us to hold off on future attacks, and we're holding out. What do we see? What happens if the... are there any signs that the Iranian regime is cracking? A lot of signs. A lot of signs. I wish I could divulge all of them, but I see that. But will I tell you, will I commit right now that it's going to collapse? I can tell you that we're working to create the conditions for it to collapse.
So that was Bibi right there. Meantime, Iran's new supreme leader released a new statement overnight, saying security must be denied to all of Iran's enemies. Khamenei has not appeared in public since he was chosen to succeed his father. There are reports that he was seriously injured in the initial attack that began with Operation Epic Fury. Newsmax senior correspondent John Honey is live on the ground in Tel Aviv with more on this. Good morning to you, John.
Yeah, John, good morning to you. And we had several interceptions after a very quiet overnight. There was a lull in missile barrages here, probably the quietest that it's been since this war began. But then things picked up once again this morning, right around 8 a.m. local time. There's been about 6 missile salvos fired by Iran targeting central Israel, the Tel Aviv region, and even Jerusalem. This coming after, as you were just talking about, and you played the soundbite from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his remarks last night, during which he said Iran no longer has the ability to enrich uranium nor manufacture ballistic missiles. The Prime Minister talking about Israel's military operation and how it compares now to that of the 12-day war last year. Here's in part what he said about that. Listen.
In Rising Line, we destroyed missiles and we destroyed a lot of the nuclear infrastructure. But what we're destroying now are the factories that produce the components to make these missiles and to make the nuclear weapons that they're trying to produce. We're wiping out their industrial base in a way that we didn't do before.
Now, before this operation, Iran had an estimated 2,500 ballistic missiles, and IDF officials told me this week they were trying to basically double that number, if not more. Iran has fired thus far about 300 to 500 estimated missiles at Israel, and the IDF estimates that 70% of Iran's missile launching capabilities have either been destroyed or severely disabled at this point. And also, as far as the ballistic missiles, we know that Israel's multi-layered defense system has shot down an estimated 85 to 95%. However, there are still missiles that are being fired. Iran still has launching capabilities, but more so what's becoming effective for the Iranians are the use of these cluster bombs, the cluster munitions that are basically dispersed from these warheads before they're intercepted, and they can span basically several miles. And we've seen the deadly and damaging impact of these cluster bombs when they come down. Several people have been killed since Wednesday, including an elderly couple in Ramat Gan, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. And the IRGC spokesman, General Ali Mohammed Naimi, said early this morning that Iran still has the ability to make ballistic missiles and to fire ballistic missiles, and will continue to as long as this war continues. Well, as it turns out, John, now the IDF confirming today that that same general was killed today in joint U.S.-Israeli airstrikes. John.
All right, John Huddy, thank you so much for that update. And let's get some immediate reaction here. Let's bring in two men who understand the front lines and the halls of power, retired Air Force Brigadier General Blaine Holt and Andrew Hardy. He's the senior associate at the Heritage Foundation. Great to have you both here. General Holt, I'll start with you. We just heard there from John Huddy. Multiple outlets reporting this morning that President Trump, he might consider taking over Iran's crown jewel. That's Karg Island. 90% of the country's oil exports, they move through that island in the Persian Gulf. The critics, they call this a very risky maneuver. And we've talked about this earlier this week. General Holt, do you think that this is a wise move?
Well, John, good morning. We've seen 20 days of risky maneuvers. What is up with Karg Island? We don't look at risky maneuvers. We evaluate risk, and what we also look at is battle space objectives that must be secured. And there is an incredibly bigger risk if we don't secure Karg Island. Its oil resources, its oil equipment and refining equipment. There's IRGC on the island. We're suppressing them. But that island's going to have to be secured for the world, because this is where China gets its oil. This is where you have a lot of sulfur byproduct production that's going to go into those potash fields to make fertilizer. It's just very, very critical. And the president was right to call out Israel and say, no more of this infrastructure can go. And that's a world issue. So there's a lot of great things happening overnight. 6 weapons were fired, not 600. And more leadership generals are dying. And then I only have one concern, it's that Iran is effectively now charging like millions of dollars of ransom to allow certain tanks to get through. If countries are paying those ransoms, all you're doing is keeping the IRGC in business and keeping paychecks flowing to a war that needs to end soon.
Andrew, from a policy perspective, though, would seizing this island be enough to force the regime to the table, or at least in the future, degrade their ability to shut off the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, good morning, John. I think it would certainly help in that, but it's also unsure the president is going to have the political backing to have that type of move happen. There's certainly some fractures within his base about the ability to put troops on the ground or take these types of operations. But if it were to occur, I think this is one of the primary targets that could see some success, of course, with the help of prior strikes on the military infrastructure on Karg Island. But I think more broadly, when it comes to negotiations, I certainly think the president, he's open to negotiations, but ultimately he only cares if the agreement is going to be substantive, if there's real meaningful checks to ensure that Iran is going to make serious concessions, they're able to abide by that, and the United States can enforce it. So regardless of who is in charge or how the conflict is going, the president is open to diplomacy if it's going to make America stronger and safer.
General Holt, I mean, Karg Island, if the president does decide to take it, is it a break it, you bought it type situation?
Probably. We'll probably have a stabilization force there for many years to come. But evaluate where this is going strategically. Is there really any place in this world for this regime to remain in place? Because all they'll be is terrorists forever and revenge-minded on us. And we don't turn our backs on a revolutionary force that we said we've got your back. They would be revenge-minded on us too, by the way. So there is going to be some sort of stabilization force. There is going to be some big fight in Congress. Those are just baked into the cake. But Karg is a securable island. The Marines know what they're doing. And the enemy's defenses have been suppressed quite enough. I don't see them having an offensive ability to really wreak havoc with us on Karg. But at the exact same time, it is not without danger. It is not without peril. But it is the next place where this thing is probably going to end up going, because it has to.
Yeah. The president also calling on U.S. allies to get on board here to help secure the strait. He met with the Prime Minister of Japan at the White House yesterday and was asked why he didn't warn allies about the recent strikes. Watch this.
You don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor?
I still can't believe he said that, making light of that situation. But Andrew, operational silence, though, is a lot more important. Obviously, he's not going to let his allies know what he's doing.
You're right. And I think one thing you can always count on with President Trump is he's always going to find a way to get a really cool one-liner when it comes to a press briefing, or that people are going to take and run with it. So when really focusing on the substance of that, we're really talking about the importance of letting the United States conduct these operations that keep it as safe as possible. When it came to this type of strike, there was no interest for the United States to let as many partners as possible know what was happening. Obviously, this was tightly coordinated with Israel, and we saw the results of that. The very first day, taking out the Ayatollah and dozens of senior leaders. So I think that shows how important it is to move in silence, to coordinate very closely with your most capable allies, and there should be a welcoming of this coalition of naval forces. We don't know what exactly they're going to do. We don't have any firm commitments yet, but the intent to do more and to show that Europe, Japan, and other countries are more willing to support the United States in global security is in America's interest, as long as the substance is there to back their participation.
General Holt, did you see the look on the Prime Minister's face when he made that comment? It just sunk.
I did, but it wasn't really that much of a dig. It was the eggshell awkward moment where everybody's like, how is she going to take that? What's going to happen? But honestly, Japan and the United States have never been tighter, and we're in great shape with them. What I think is very important, though, is that if NATO wants to start to recover some of its relationship with the United States, if Europe indeed wants to show that it is interested in continuing the transatlantic alliance the way it has been designed from World War II on, they better hustle and get some ships down there and start minding the store. And yes, there'll be some risk, NATO, and you'll have to take it. But there needs to be a coalition that shows up pretty soon. Or the president's going to take stock in that, and he's going to levy cost impositions for those who didn't show up for school.
Exactly. Let's get to that request there from the Pentagon, asking for an extra $200 billion for the war with Iran. Andrew, from the perspective of, you've got to replenish a lot of these missiles and the weaponry that we're putting towards this war. Do you think that's enough, $200 billion? Or is this more of an ask to, increase new technology?
I certainly think it's a part of a broader emphasis that the president has for peace through strength. Certainly wanting to operationalize that as much as possible. We know that the president and Republicans have an interest all the way up to a $1.5 trillion defense budget here. So while this may be a different request, it is very much in the line of ensuring that the United States military, after years of underinvestment and certain issues within the different branches, can start to get things on track, and not to mention, and to prepare readiness, to ensure that it's not going to broken programs and unnecessary ideas, but ensures that this is a fiscally smart way to support the military that keeps Americans safe.
General Holt, I want to get your thoughts on this. The new supreme leader here issuing this statement, threatening the neighboring countries. He hasn't been seen in person since this war started. President Trump suggested that he might even be dead. But we've also heard reporting that the regime is in total chaos right now. I mean, we keep taking out all of their leaders. Do we know who's actually running the Iranian regime? And is he actually making these statements, General?
I just built a budgeting app with Base 44. Nina just built an app.
So we can all build apps now?
I'm on lunch.
I gotta make a call.
I'll be in my office. Just built an inventory tracker. Protein calculator.
Bookshare an app.
Profesor de Español.
At Free Tax USA, you get your maximum tax refund guaranteed. A free federal return guaranteed. 100% accurate calculations guaranteed. With so much guaranteed, you can file with confidence at freetaxusa.com.
Next, and whether or not President Trump does in fact go after Carg Island. General Blaine Holt, always a pleasure. Have a good weekend if I don't see you, as well as Andrew Hardin. Great to have you on as well.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next, oil prices still high as President Trump orders a new strategy to open the Strait of Hormuz, unleashing A-10 fighters and an Apache helicopters there to hunt the drones and those swift boats, and also a major development in the case of a missing spring breaker. What happened? Are we getting any new details? We'll have that coming up next here on News Now.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio.
During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. Your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most. Act now and you will receive a free 5-year warranty. Call or go online now.
Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax? I like it too. Newsmax, you like Newsmax? I like it too.
It's true. Millions of Americans agree with President Trump, and they're switching to Newsmax. They're watching great shows with Greta, Carl Higbie, Rob Schmidt, Finnerty, and more. If you're tired of big media, start watching Newsmax. It's free to start. Go to newsmaxplus.com for immediate access. Get all of President Trump's most important events live. Imagine watching Mike Huckabee's Israel Report, our Melania documentary, Clint Eastwood, Charlie Kirk specials, even the movie Jesus of Nazareth by Franco Zeffirelli. Once you start Newsmax Plus, you won't stop. So try it for free. Go to newsmaxplus.com, then download the app. It's easy. So make the switch to Newsmax Plus today.
It's been a wild ride on the stock market since the war with Iran first started. Oil prices also spiking this week, threatening to lock in a 4th straight losing week for the S&P 500. Investors' fears are hitting new highs following attacks on Middle East oil infrastructure. Let's bring in Christina Thompson. She is live from the New York Stock Exchange with more. Christina, what are you seeing today?
Well, investors' fears hitting new highs, as you said, but also the fact that oil is rising yet again to that high that we saw last week that really created a lot of fear, hitting that $120 mark. Looking at futures, stocks yesterday, they did close up a little bit more than where we saw them start at the beginning of the day at, but they're really reacting to the volatility of the oil and expect even more volatility today because today is what we will call a quarterly quadruple witching event. It's when you see the quarterly expiration of stock options, index futures, and single stock futures that occurs only 4 times a year, which is going to create a bit of a tumultuous environment here on the floor as trillions of dollars in derivatives roll off the board. Now, the event tends to lead to heavier trading volumes and sharper intraday swings thanks to investors rebalancing or unwinding their positions. Now, as the conflict does approach its 4-week mark, investors here are starting to think, okay, this probably isn't going to be over as quickly as we once thought it would be. However, the Trump administration did meet with top oil executives yesterday, the oil industry, and they said they have ruled out banning oil exports as a way to bring down these energy prices. That is according to senior administration officials who were a part of that meeting. It also touched on permitting an overhaul, which is a priority for both the administration and energy producers. Meanwhile, we also know that Democrats and Republicans are actively underway trying to figure out a way to make that happen. The administration saying there is growing optimism that they should be able to make a deal on that quite soon.
All right, Christina Thompson, we appreciate that. Markets opening here in about 11 minutes, so we'll wait to see opening bell and how it affects the markets. Let's bring in our analyst here at Newsmax, author of Planet Ponzi, Mitch Firestein joins me. Mitch, great to have you here. Great to see you. So much volatility in the market since the war began. What's it going to take here to settle things down?
Well, that report from the exchange was 100% right. What we're going to see this morning, or today, actually, the last hour of trading between 3 and 4 o'clock today will be a bit wild. The amount of options and the derivative products that expire today are $5.7 trillion in notional amount, which is gigantic. So the volatility this week has been absolutely hectic, and it's been driven by the Middle East and the oil prices. But not only that, we've got extreme valuations, I think, in a lot of the tech companies, and there's problems in the credit surrounding the AI trade that has gone to bubblicious proportions. Take that in conjunction with interest rates that have gone up. The 10-year bond is trading at 4.32 this morning, which is a good buy. I think it's one of the only good buys in the market out there. You've got traders scrambling for the exits who have lost money in the commodities arena, and now they're trying to just be flat before the options expiry today.
The Dow was down 750 points this week. It's not looking good, probably for today as well. With the Dow futures down 250 points, the White House seems to be saying that this is short-term pain for the long-term gain. We have to eliminate Iran. They are the threat. But is there light at the very dark end of this tunnel?
There's definite light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, President Trump's agenda is to get rid of the 57 or 47 years of problems with Iran in the Middle East. And that's a big problem that nobody has dealt with. And it's festered like a cancer in the Middle East, and it had to be dealt with. So it will be no pain, no gain. We're going to have a little bit of pain, but we're going to get lots of gain in the long term. The good news is that in President Trump's first term, what he did was he established energy independence, closed down the illegal alien invasion by Joe Biden, and he stressed on growth and bringing back manufacturing to usher in his golden age. And I think it takes a little bit of time to turn the ship around, but we're in the process of doing that. And sometimes there are going to be growing pains and speed bumps because you've got the entire Democratic Party resisting any kind of legislation or anything that his administration wants to do.
Want to get your reaction here to President Trump addressing the press here with Prime Minister of Japan, saying that oil prices, well, they're not bad. Listen to this.
Oil prices will go up, the economy will go down a little bit. I thought it would be worse, much worse, actually. I thought there was a chance it could be much worse. It's not bad, and it's going to be over with pretty soon. We've obliterated their Navy. We've obliterated just about everything there is to obliterate, including leadership. Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft equipment is gone. We're flying wherever we want, Pete. We have nobody even shooting at us.
So the president there, clearly not too concerned. And we know that Japan gets 95% crude oil from ships that travel through the Strait of Hormuz. Should Japan be stepping up to help us? And I mean, do you think that message was made clear to the Prime Minister yesterday?
Yeah, I think the Prime Minister,
all right.
who has just recently had an election,
All right. We are currently 7 minutes away from market opening. If you haven't heard the news, old supermicrocomputer, yeah, there were three tied to a $2.5 billion worth of restricted NVIDIA GPUs. They got caught smuggling them to China, allegedly. And SMCI is down almost 20. That's $22. It's about to drop. Now, if you manage to get a short in, yeah, that falling knife is going to be impossible to catch. Will it continue to slide? Bro, that's way down here. I mean, damn. Dude, I mean, damn. Yikes. This is going to be interesting. Certainly going to be interesting. We've got a mixed bag, a lot of flat, fair amount of green over here. Lots of red in tech and electronics. The dollar, it's trading sideways. Crypto heat map in the last hour, very flat. Very flat. Last 4 hours. 24 hours though, it's still up. Silver coming down a touch. Oil maintaining a balance, it would seem. NVIDIA, wow, it's a little up on pre-market. I guess that news of those chips bodes well for NVIDIA. That's just wild to me. This whole thing is, whew. What a scandal. That's going to be bad for old Michael Saylor, which I feel bad for, because, that sucks. Hopefully he wasn't involved in it. Otherwise, yeah, he might be done. Why don't you drop a like and give me a ticker symbol you want me to pull up? Nobody ever drops any ticker symbols. Let's get this party started. I'm sure by now everyone has seen the video of Trump talking to the Prime Minister of Japan and his Pearl Harbor mention. Whew, if you can't laugh at that, you might want to unclench your butthole, because that was just funny. That was hilarious. And guess what? Japan turned right around and joined with several other nations in throwing down their support for securing the Strait of Hormuz. If that confuses you, you might want to stop suckling at the teat of mainstream media and pay attention to some truthful sources. Let's go over to Fox Live now.
And some of them are retired and they can, they just enjoy kind of being out. But some of them, most of them, live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I got a feeling that everybody's talking about. Everybody's going to be talking about this Supermicro strategy. Let's see where Schwab is.
The UK market actually hitting the highest point in 2008. So that's a real repricing of rates, obviously backing out some of that easing, pricing in of rate hikes potentially in other markets. Not as much here, of course, Nicole, but we continue to track these lines around oil. I mean, the Wall Street Journal out with a piece today about the Saudis seeing oil go to $180 if this energy shock continues and persists throughout the course of April. We continue to see blows to energy infrastructure. That's really the big story. I know KG's been writing a lot about that. You've got LNG, of course, in the spotlight. Reuters out with a really interesting piece yesterday, Nicole. Don't know if you caught it. 17% of Qatar's LNG capacity knocked out, but the repairs could potentially take 3 to 5 years. So everyone's talking about the duration at the moment as to how long this stuff could come back online. And I think that's really telling. So that was really interesting. Obviously, we continue to track these tech headlines. What a fascinating story about Supermicro. I mean, if you dig into some of the details of that, about how they were, changing out the labels and things like that, hair dryers involved in boxes, but that, of course, a smuggling charge we are watching as well. Yeah. And then, of course, on the macro front, we've had Chris Waller out this morning talking. So we continue to keep an eye on some of that Fed speak as well.
Yeah, and I did catch that story on Qatar and everything that was going on with LNG and the 17% outage. I will tell you also with Supermicro, I'll add that Bernstein's out and saying that Supermicro has serious credibility issues after the indictments, and also now wondering whether or not NVIDIA might feel the need to further distance itself from Supermicro, which is down about 26% this morning, to your point, Sam.
Yeah.
You also are watching XPeng.
Yeah, XPeng turning its first quarterly profit actually in its latest report card, Nicole. So thanks to record sales and good margins. So net profit, $55 million, revenue jumping 38% year over year. It sold more than 116,000 vehicles in the quarter. Gross margins improving 21% compared to 14% the previous years. Guiding, though, for fewer sales in Q1 of 61 to 66,000 cars. This is typically a slower season.
Opening bells coming.
Because, of course, the Lunar New Year holiday, but that is compared, of course, to what is typically a busy time for car sales in Q4 over in China. And so perhaps some of that is being priced in at the moment. But it is the latest EV maker over in China to turn a profit. We were just talking about NIO last week, managing to hit that milestone as well. Li Auto had already managed to do that. But now you've got a case of all three emerging brands turning a profit. The story with XPeng is that it does sell cars out of China.
There it goes.
International expansion.
Watch it come down, baby.
Tesla as well, because it's making this foray into robo-taxis and humanoids. So something to watch as well.
Let's go.
Catch her at 10 o'clock. Also, Amazon, a smartphone comeback. A lot of news this morning. Opening bell.
Look at that. Somebody just lost a lot of money.
And we are off. Stocks on Wall Street are to the downside. downside, the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now down about 107 points at 45,940, losing 0.2%. Same for the S&P 500, down about 1/4%.
And it's continuing to fall.
89, that is the current level here. Small caps just fractionally higher.
Man, we are pushing 28% of a drop. Well, how low is this going to go? Damn it. Michael Saylor is losing his mind right now. Great God. I can't wait to see what he says says to the next reporter he talks to. This is going to be all they're going to... Woo. Wow. Cross 28%. Damn. Damn, dude. Running hard towards that 29%. Ouch. Shit. Wow. I sure am glad I didn't have anything in this. Whew. Christ. I'd be losing my mind right now. You know, I almost dropped a big chunk into this. I probably would have sold out of it by now, though. I do believe we're going to see a 30% drop today on Supermicro. Ooh, man.
How do you know what to buy? I mean, obviously you spent a lot of time in this.
Well, there might be a buy the dip opportunity. Shit. Nobody's doing that right now.
Moving to newer designs that could double royalty revenue per chip.
Come on,
attractive returns, can be, but at the same time, they're really a fixed return relative to the upstream, okay? And so anytime you can go upstream at attractive prices, that's where the highest returns on capital are. So here's how I think about today. Are we going to see a bid and returns pick up across the space? Yes. Why? Because upstream
NVIDIA
returns
took a little
are climbing
hit
massively. I mean, if you compare where we started in the year to where these companies are making free cash right now, to say they're doing 2 to 3 times the free cash flow may be an understatement on a daily accrual for cash basis. And so as you're watching these stocks go up, say 40, 50, 60% relative to where the returns on capital have gone, that's not that high. Now, I'll add one more thing. We are in a world where we just watched the SaaS apocalypse go on, and those are asset-light, high-return businesses, supposedly. Well, right now, the most capital-intensive industry, like energy, is out producing higher returns on capital than SaaS businesses. And nobody...
Look at that RSI. Look at that RSI.
Which producers? You talking about the major integrated oil producers. So which ones do you own?
So our U.S. side, our largest holding, both portfolios of ours is Cenovus, oil sands producer. They took out Meg last summer. They've already announced in that Meg acquisition, Meg was producing about 108,000 barrels. They're going to do 150 in a couple of years.
It's amazing.
Preparations, but falls short of committing any naval vessels or resources.
Yeah, certain.
Zuho points out that is, when you look at it on a year-over-year basis, it had a really tough year last year. So there is the potential to move ahead from here. So they see upside in Q2, both comps and traffic. Again, it's about the marketing, the promotion, the value that Chipotle is offering. And they think there will be a sales acceleration throughout the balance of this year, Nicole.
All right. And, I was just looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is now having its worst month since 2002. It's up 10 months in a row. It was the only index that actually had that consecutive gains, but it's down about 6%. And as I'm looking at the movers on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, Salesforce, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple. I mean, you get my vibe here. IBM. A lot of tech weighing down on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Of course, it's 30, not 500 like the S&P 500, which is a better gauge. But I still love to look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, another big picture story is energy, and you have some stories.
Yep, we've got a lot of red in the tech sector, but it looks like everything else is by and large doing rather well. Bitcoin took a hit. Yeah, you could expect that. Overall, though, that's going to be short-lived for sure. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but this little hit that it's taken, ooh, look at it coming down. Look at it coming down. Thank you, Super MicroStrategy, right? How much is Bitcoin going to be affected by this? This is what really intrigues me, is how much these companies actually influence the market. Like, this is massive. Look at these. Look how much is jumping around. I guarantee you this is on news of this SMCI, which looks like we're holding at about a 28 to 30% loss overall so far. I mean, man, there's certainly going to be some people who are going to who haven't checked their portfolios yet, who are going to have a shock when they wake up. Ethereum following Bitcoin as per usual. Nvidia took a slight hit. Want to see how my red list is doing. Yeah. Looks like Broadcom is up. ST Microelectronics is down a slight bit. Astronics, great name, down a little bit. Yeah, those are SpaceX's big suppliers. 28% still. Bitcoin doesn't want to make up its mind what it wants to do. It's taking the loss on the chin. It'll be fine overall, I'm sure. Heat map's still looking rough for the big players. Overall, though, I think we're doing pretty good. But damn, this almost 30% loss. Woo! And if you're just now joining us, there's an indictment alleging 3 individuals tied to SMCI. They diverted $2.5 billion in U.S. assembled servers with restricted NVIDIA GPUs to China. 2 arrested, 1 at large. SMCI is cooperating. But boy, is their stock taking a hit. Great God. We're running up on 29% loss in just... Well, it started pre-market, but... Man... This is going to be the big topic of discussion all weekend long as Bitcoin decides what it wants to do because of it. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? This is just mind-blowing to me. Hilarious, too.
Only come.
Sucks. I'm sorry if you've got anything invested in these guys or in SMCI. I feel for you. But this is the way things go. This is the way the world goes, baby. That's what happens. It's a damn shame.
It felt like I lost some of my purpose.
I'm asking you to join me and other
averages. Is this an opportunity or does this worry you greatly?
Nice to be with you, Nicole. I always think it's an opportunity, as you may have seen from research, that when opportunities like this, when wars happen and things like that happen, markets go down, and usually is a good buying opportunity.
Yes, it sure is. I'm gonna run over to fucking live Fox now.
But because of this culture, they were discouraged from doing so. And my second question is to everybody. When we talk to the diplomats who are on the receiving end of this, right? Like not necessarily just Gulf diplomats, but diplomats around the world, some of them tend to come out and say stuff like this. Well, we directly talk to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and sometimes we talk directly with Trump. So who needs embassies, or I mean not embassies, but like who needs ambassadors? So this is like leaders to leaders diplomacy, a term that Trump and Erdogan used a lot during Trump's first term. How do you counter that? Like, I mean, that sounds like an advantage, but is there a disadvantage to it? Thank you.
Ambassador Bass?
Yeah, thank you, Humera. Thanks for your question. I don't have any specific knowledge of communications in the run-up to the conflict kicking off. but I and my fellow panelists are aware of any number of instances in which former colleagues were either fired last year, included in the reduction in force effort, and for those of you who don't know the arcana, normally when there's a reduction in force, it's merit-based or based on time and service among a group of people, and you take a percentage of that group. It's called a competition group in the the government personnel arcana. Before the reduction in force, this administration essentially made each individual a competition group so that it would be able to very selectively pick who was being shown the door. And in a number of cases, people who were shown the door were people who had taken initiative in the preceding months, whether it was to continue doing the nation's business that was pressing, but they didn't ask for permission first, and somebody got their nose out of joint, even though it was run-of-the-mill stuff. In some cases, there was retribution against individuals who had been in positions within the Personnel Bureau, and individuals with a grievance who were now in positions of authority felt that now was their time to get retribution because they had, quote unquote, been treated unfairly. And in other cases, people who had, in those early months, tried to point out some of the downsides of a potential course of action that the administration had decided on were deemed disloyal, simply for not for refusing to implement the policy, but for pointing out some of the challenges associated with a particular course of action and making sure that leadership could make informed choices. If you go back and look at the history of U.S. foreign policy and national security mistakes, including a number of the mistakes that President Trump has identified as core mistakes in the last 25 years, you will see that they often resulted from deficits in the decision-making process where leadership did not have access to the best information and to a wide range of views about whether or not it was the best bad idea possible and whether the contingencies had been sufficiently thought through, and nonetheless, we were going to take that action. And so you would think this administration would want to ensure it was not repeating mistakes of the past administrations of which it is so critical. And yet they insisted on creating a culture that would reinforce the likelihood of exactly that happening.
And we're listening in there to former U.S. ambassadors to the Middle East speaking on Iran as you're taking a live look there in Beirut this morning. Now, I also wanted to share this here with you, and this is just coming out from the Israel Defense Forces saying eliminated Ismail Ahmadi, the head of the intelligence division of the Besieged Force, as well as several other senior commanders in a strike on the senior leadership of the Besieged Force in the heart of Tehran. So that just being posted by the IDF. Now, we do have another post from a bit earlier this morning I also wanted to bring to you here, just popping up saying eliminated Ali Mohammed Naini, the spokesperson and head of the public relations array of the IRGC. So we do have that coming in from the IDF there as well. Those are the two latest updates that we have gotten in here this morning. I wanted to share them with you as the IDF is confirming eliminating Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps spokesperson, as well as that other post we just shared here with you. All right, we are going to step away for a commercial break, continuing that discussion on the other side. Stay with us.
Looks like Supermicro is making a little bit of a bounce back up, making a little bit of a recovery. These are people buying the dip, believe that. I'm not so sure it's done. I mean, it very well could be. Man, you know how many people are about to lose their ass because they got their shorts in too late? Don't ever try and catch that falling knife. Bitcoin's making an excellent recovery. Bitcoin doesn't care. Heat map looking relatively the same. Mostly green. Yeah, mostly green. It looks like less because these weigh so much more, but yeah. Looks like Nvidia wants to continue tumbling. Took a big old dump right here yesterday. Right before market close. Wow. Oh no, that was the close. That was the opening. Silver remaining sideways, the dollar remaining sideways, oil remaining sideways, no real new catalysts going on. I would think, though, however, how Italy, France, UK, and Japan, I think Australia too, all just put out a joint statement saying that they would help provide security to the Strait of Hormuz. I would expect that to bode well for the price of oil. But so far, I guess the market's waiting on proof of that, other than just, the statement itself. But I mean, goddamn, the market reacts to everything else, right? Let's go over to see what Newsmax is doing. I'm very curious to see how the news pans out for today. Happy Friday. I hope everybody's got fun plans for the weekend. I don't, because I am a broke bitch and I can't do shit. But working on it, baby, working on it. If Coinbase would unfreeze my damn account, God, it's been almost 2 days now over some BS. Like I had a margin deficit of a whole $20, and they froze my account and were like, you need to make a deposit, which there was already money in the account, just move it over. But I still went ahead and made a little deposit, almost 3 times the amount of the deficit, mind you. It was a deficit of $17, and I put $60 in. Okay, support tells me it'll automatically be taken out. Cool. Yeah, that's been 40 hours, 41 hours now. Hello. Meanwhile, the money that's not even related to that money already went through, took care of the deficit. It's been cleared. Money that's on my card, I can't even access. So, like, when Coinbase puts any kind of hold on $2 in your account, the whole thing's frozen up. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Then support told me I needed to call the number on the back of my debit card. So I did. They opened a case. They couldn't tell me a damn thing. They said, go back to support. I go back to support. We opened up a ticket. That doesn't help, does it? So I'm still waiting on stupid shit to fix itself. I'm going to put on, what is this? What is this? What is this? Affordable housing. Don't care. Don't care. Let's see, what is Schwab saying? They're talking about S&P. I'm sure they're talking about a whole lot of nothing. Let's see what Newsmax is saying.
Intriguing. And my suggestion is to try and classify any such object that comes from interstellar space in terms of whether it's a potential threat.
I'm going to go have a smoke, guys. I'll be back.
I'm not sure. There is a third possibility. You could have a Trojan horse, something that looks natural from the outside, but it has in its interior some technological gadget. And, we could take a hitchhike on interstellar object if we want to endeavor into interstellar space, send either a capsule with technology or microbes in it to basically serve as an interstellar gardener. We could do that by hitchhiking on an object like 3i Atlas. So it's not necessarily just natural or technological. It could be a mix of two. And we should be open-minded to that. Our training data set in the past was based on rocks or icebergs, but we should expand this training data set to include technologies from other civilizations, because once we find it, it will change everything.
Right. That's true. And we have so many questions, and the mystery has always surrounded this topic, and we'll wait whether or not this website provides any new details, or maybe just opens up more questions that we have. Avi Loeb, great to have you on. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Police, they pieced together, appreciate it. Police pieced together the last moments of an Alabama student before his disappearance on spring break. Every parent's nightmare. That's next on News Now.
If you've been in an accident that wasn't your fault, well, your favorite attorney has a message for you. Collision, calamity, catastrophe? Are you innocent, faultless, above reproach? If you want money, you need an attorney. You need a bulldog. But finding one, it's laborious, it's strenuous, it's stupefying. That's why you gotta call the number on your screen now.
To get your own bulldog, call your favorite attorney now.
They'll help you connect to a legal expert. You have questions, they have answers. They know the legalese, the lingo, the jargon, and the argot.
When I got hit by a car, I was confused, confounded, and concerned. But calling left me calm, composed, and comforted. Thanks, your favorite attorney.
They'll even tell you how much money your case could be worth. $300,000, $2 million, $86,491, all sorts of numbers.
Call your favorite attorney now. He'd call you, but he doesn't have your number.
Call 800-513-2164.
Slip and falls, work accidents, car, truck, bus, motorcycle, motorbike, e-bike, tandem bike. These bulldogs will make sure people pay. And if you don't get paid, the attorneys don't get paid, and I don't get paid.
After I was blindsided and sideswiped by a fat tire e-bike towing a skateboarder, I didn't know what to do. And a friend recommended that I call his favorite attorney. And I got results. Now, he's my favorite attorney.
It doesn't matter what kind of vehicle it was. As long as it had an engine and the accident wasn't your fault, call your favorite attorney now.
So I compel you, I implore you, I beseech you to pick up that phone and call now to see what your case could be worth.
To get a windfall, you first need to call.
Thanks, your favorite attorney.
Thanks, your favorite attorney.
Thanks, your favorite attorney.
So if you've been in an accident that wasn't your fault, call your favorite attorney now.
800-513-2164. That's 800-513-2164.
If you could help reduce the urge to go to the bathroom due to your aging prostate, if you could improve your energy levels because you're getting a better night's sleep, would you? Of course you would. And now you can, with the help of Prostate Revive, the premium dietary supplement for men whose lives, sleep, and energy levels are affected due to the concerns of an aging prostate. It was specially formulated for men by noted medical doctor, Dr. David Brownstein.
Prostate Revive is really about healthy aging. It contains a plant sterol called beta-sitosterol, combined with 15 other important ingredients. Prostate Revive's exclusive formula helps promote normal prostate function, and that means you can reduce the urge to go and finally get a good night's sleep.
Here's how you can try Prostate Revive risk-free.
Simply call or visit our website now, and we'll send every new customer a risk-free 30-day trial of Prostate Revive. You discover the low shipping and handling. This is a $39.95 value, so don't delay. Call or go online today.
A heartbreaking story out of Barcelona, Spain, one that hits every parent right in the gut. Detectives have found the body of an Alabama college student. He'd been missing for days. Crime correspondent Jason Matera is here with the latest on the cause of death is now under investigation in this case. Jason, what can you tell us? What have we learned?
Yeah, John, so this is just an awful story all around, but sadly it's one we see play out around this time every year. An American college student heads overseas for spring break and doesn't make it home alive. Barcelona police say the body of 20-year-old Jimmy Gracie was recovered by divers off a beach yesterday evening, local time. The University of Alabama student had traveled there for spring break to visit friends who were studying abroad. He was last seen around 3 a.m. Tuesday outside Shoko. It's a popular beach nightclub. At some point during the early morning, Jimmy reportedly was separated from his friends and never made it back to his room. His family knew something was wrong almost immediately. They say Jimmy always checked in, but But this time, he didn't. Then came the discovery that shifted the direction of the case. Jimmy's wallet was reportedly found floating in the water, which triggered an urgent aquatic search around that beachfront nightclub. The cause of death is unclear, and making that determination is now part of the ongoing investigation as the medical examination is underway. As for Jimmy's family, they're left with this devastating loss and no clarity yet on how their son died. And from what we've been hearing from friends, when he first disappeared, Jimmy Gracie was a solid guy, the kind of presence that will leave a real void now that he's gone.
He serves as a mentor for our younger guys and guides our brothers on their journey with their faith. And he also serves as one of our philanthropy chairmen and devotes his time to giving back to others.
As a parent, these kinds of stories are always tough to report, and I've covered more of them than I care to admit. But I have learned this over the years. Prevention often comes down to one simple rule when you're overseas, and that's the buddy system, John. Don't ever leave your group, ever. Stay together, move together.
Think the best of the best don't herd together? Rethink how to round up the GOATs. Invesco QQQ.
Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus or summary prospectus at Invesco.com.
Unlock the world's largest, most liquid financial market with Forex.com. Forex, or FX, involves trading one currency for another. It's a big deal with a daily turnover of $7.5 trillion. Forex markets are super liquid, ever-changing, and available 24/5. That means one thing: potential trading opportunities. Discover these potential opportunities with Forex.com. Explore 80-plus FX pairs and act decisively with leading platforms, exceptional execution, and low costs. Build your knowledge with comprehensive educational tools, videos, and webinars. Open a free demo account and learn the ropes in a risk-free environment. Take advantage of expert analysis, live commentary, and elite charting. Experience the pinnacle of Forex trading with the #1 broker in the U.S. today.
And there's no apologies, because he's armed with common sense, real faith, and the truth. Don't miss him on The Pulse tonight.
Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. Your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most. Act now and you will receive a free 5-year warranty. Call or go online now.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
They're just young people, hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Abused youth often feel safer on the street. Now, more than ever, that's the most dangerous place of all. Covenant House is helping young adults facing homelessness. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming, and no young person is ever turned away. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month to help a young person. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Your gift will show them they're loved. Homeless young people are afraid and alone with nowhere else to turn.
You want to know that there's somewhere you can go that's safe. So the Covenant House did that for us.
Please call now with your gift of $19.
Yep. Well, I do believe that's it. I do believe people have grown tired of me stepping out for a smoke and providing nothing of value, right? Appreciate those of you that stuck with me. That's me, guys. Peace, love, and hair grease.